Hey Photoshop Gurus, this video is going to teach you about the Marquee Tools. So the very first thing that I have done here is just went on Google and found me a nice little image to play around with here, and I want to show you something. Let me just close out of this document. I want to show you something really quick here. When you go online and you get images and things like that, one of the cool things about Photoshop is that it will create a document that is the same size of whatever is on your clipboard. Okay, so if I go File New, all I have to do is let it come up with the settings, and see it says Preset Clipboard. So your virtual clipboard on your keyboard, for those of you that doesn't know what that is when you hit copy on your computer. You know, if you go to File Copy or Edit Copy, or you do a Control C or Command C if you're on a Mac. When you copy whatever this is that you're clicking on, it goes to your virtual clipboard. Now this is not something you see, but it's something that basically it's stored like in RAM, okay? But we won't get real techie about that. Just call it the virtual clipboard, and it will store one item for you, okay? So whatever you've copied will be on the virtual clipboard until you copy something else or cut something else. Copying and cutting, both will put that on the clipboard. Alright, so I'm just going to click OK, and then I'm going to hit Command V for paste, and if you're on a PC you would hit Control V, and it puts my picture in there, perfect size, because that's the size that I got it at from the internet. It also comes in with a background layer. I'm probably going to discuss this in videos beforehand, or have discussed this in videos beforehand, but your background layer is just an automatic thing that Photoshop does. It just puts you in a background layer to start you off, okay? This layer is always locked. It's annoying. It just bothers me. I don't know why they do it, but they do. I'm sure there's good reasons for it, but I don't like it, okay? So what I typically do is, like in this case, I don't even need this layer, so I can just pull it down to my trash and get rid of it. I could also, and I hit a Control Z on that, I could also just double click on it and just hit OK. Now that's what I'll do a lot of times if I'm starting a brand new file from scratch and I do need the background layer to build on. Then I'll just double click and I'll hit OK. I don't name it or anything. I mean, if I know what the name is going to be at that time, then I go ahead and name it. But usually I just, double click and hit OK. It's a fast way of getting rid of that lock. If it is locked, a lot of features will not work. So that's why it's very important to unlock that. So many times I get students, asking, why is it that I can't do anything with this layer? It's driving me insane. I can do stuff with my other layers, but I can't do anything with this layer. Well, it's because it's locked. So let's get rid of the lock by just double clicking on it and hitting OK. Alright, so now you see the lock's gone. Now, I could turn this eye off at this point. Again, I could just throw this one away because I don't need it, so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to throw this layer away. Then I have my nice little cityscape here. And so now let's get into, well, actually I wanted to do an addendum to the video right before this one for section 1 of chapter 4. I was talking about resizing, and I did not show you how to resize other than using the sizing handles. Okay, so I did you a little injustice there, and I apologize for that. So here's what we're going to do. Hang on just a second here. Okay, as soon as I click on one of these sizing handles, I just clicked, that's all I did. My options comes up for that because it's turning it into the free transform tool, okay? But what I could do is I could change the width and the height right up here. And maybe I want that to be 75% smaller, okay? And if I hit Tab, and I change that to 50%, notice that it stretched my picture out. Well, I don't want it to stretch my picture out, okay? So I'm going to hit Undo. I'm going to click on that again and show you that if I have the link in between the width and the height, if you don't see that, It is a just a little chain link between width and height. If I click on that, and then it will link whatever I do to my width, it will do in proportion to my height. So if I say 75 here, notice it did 75 in the height as well. So you always, well, maybe not always, but mostly always, are going to want to check and make sure that you have the link checked here, but so that it will be resizing your image in proportion, okay? And I really don't like to see skewed images, especially of people. I know you have relatives that are tall and skinny, but your whole family is not, okay? And they're not all short and fat either. Well, I mean, you know, maybe they are, but they don't look like they've been hit in the head with a hammer, you know? So, I mean, I had a student one time, no, this isn't a picture of an image, but or it's not a picture of a person, it is a picture of an image. She turned in pictures of her family, and they were all really short and squatty. I mean, they were very squatty. And I was like, you know, I would lay odds that your family does not all look like that. Oh, yeah, they do. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I said, well, so all your pictures on the walls and everything are short and squatty too? Well, and I was like, and look at that Coke can sitting over there. It's short and squatty too, you know. So I was able to get her to see what I was seeing like that, because it's so bad. We see this in newspapers all the time, where they didn't hold the shift key or they didn't resize the image in proportion. So it's a big pet peeve of mine. It's not just a pet peeve of mine. Ask any graphic designer. They hate it. It just looks bad. It makes us look bad as graphic designers. It makes me look bad as your teacher. So please, just hold the shift key when you resize, or just click on the link between width and height and do this in proportion. It will make all of our lives so much better. I promise. Okay? So now, I'm going to get off that bandwagon, and we're going to talk about... Let me just get out of this. We're going to talk about Marquee Tools, okay? Really quick here. Here is our Marquee Tools. We have a rectangular one, which comes up by default, elliptical, which is like oval, circle. Then we have single row Marquee, that's a horizontal one, and that's 1 pixel. And then we have the vertical single column, which is also 1 pixel. So we're going to work, I hardly ever use the single rows, so mainly you work with rectangle and elliptical. Rectangle, you click on that and notice how you have like this, I guess sight, like a sight on the end of a gun, okay? Whoops, what happened there? But in this world, in the graphic design world, we call it a crosshair, okay? And you just click and drag, and then you can use it to select whatever you want to. Now the beauty of this is once that is selected, I can let go and I can reposition that selection anywhere I want to, okay? So if I might have got it a little too high, a little too low, but then I can just, you know, change the selection like that. Now, once I hit the move tool, okay, or the selection tool, move tool, it's called both things in this world, then notice it takes that selection and takes it out and moves it around. Very handy when you're working with documents and you're wanting to crop off certain things. There's actually lots of different ways that I would use this. Okay, so another way that you can do the Marquee tool, get back on that, is, well, first of all, let me tell you how to get rid of this selection. Okay, so I've made a selection. I don't like that. I should have selected more. Well, okay, let's say I want to select more. Let me show that first. I've made this selection. I want to select more. Hit your shift key. Notice the plus comes up besides the crosshair. Now, if you want to just click and drag, oh, you gotta let go. No, let's see. There we go. Maybe I want all of this. And I've got to make sure that I intersect those two because it will just, I can make like different selections, like I can select that and that. Now I am holding my shift key this whole time, okay? I'm not letting go. But I can make all these different selections, alright? Now if I get on my move tool, whoop, look at there. I can move all these things out if I wanted to do that. Or I can also do a Control C, Control V, or Command C, Command V on a Mac. Command C, Command V, and it will put all of that selection on a new layer for me. So then I can just play around with those things. Okay, just a quick little tip on that. I'll throw that away. We'll go back to this one. Now, let's go back to the Marquee tool again. Let's say I wanted to select something, but I wanted to keep it in a square. I would hold my shift key. If you hold your shift key before you start making the selection, it will select in a square. Now, these little lines, the little dash line that's going around here, that's called marching ants. And as you've noticed, anything inside of the marching ants is what is automatically selected. But let's say, get over here and get kind of a nice little area here. Let's say that I wanted to select everything on the outside of that. All I have to do is go to Select, Inverse, and now I have two sets of marching ants. I have one on the outside and one around my selection. Now if I hit delete, it deletes everything on the outside of my main selection here. Okay? If I had just made the selection and hit delete to begin with before hitting inverse, it would have deleted my selection, what was on the inside of the marching ants. Same thing goes with the, let me undo here just a sec. Same thing goes with the elliptical marquee. Elliptical marquee is just like the Marquee tool, except that it's curved. So I can make a selection, an oval shaped selection, and if I hit delete, it takes out that. If I do an inverse, select inverse, then it takes out the outside. If I want a nice round circle, I just hold shift and I get a circle. You can see the circle there. And if I wanted to draw from the center, and you can do this with your Marquee tool as well, you can hold down, let's see, Option, and just wherever you click at first, that's where it'll draw it out from the center. Okay. Now I don't have shift held too, so I can, I can make this flex and I can get out of proportion with that. But if I wanted it to be a circle, then I just hold down shift along with that. And now it has gotten everything from the very center point outward. So that's a nice little feature to have too. So now let's look at one other little feature. I'm going to move this selection up just a little bit here. And actually I'm going to do a more of a oval shaped here. And I'm going to move that up just a little bit. I'm going to get the peak of that one building. Now, what I want to do is I want to create a nice little vignette here. Okay? So the best way to do that, go up a little bit more and over so that it's kind of centering around where I want it to be. Okay? Is go to Select, Inverse. Whoop, there it is, Inverse. And then I'm going to go Select, Modify, and I'm going to tell it to feather. Okay? Now, I get a feather selection of 5 pixels, but pixels are based upon resolution, so sometimes you have to play around with this. I'm going to click OK, and you don't see it doing anything, but when you hit delete, no, you're not really going to see anything on that one. Okay, let's try that again. Select, invert, no, modify, feather, and let's go with 25. We should be able to see something there. Okay, and hit delete. Now you can see the feather effect on the edge. Okay, pretty cool little things to learn about Marquee Tools. Let me know if you have questions.